How many of you viewers bought the PvE? I would say maybe out of every 100 people, there will be about 25 or 30 who did this, and honestly today I'm feeling generous, so let's not go lower than that. Although it's true that the Battle Pass Plus missions bundles were a very good way to implement it. If you were going to buy the pass anyway, well, paying an extra $5 for the missions didn't sound bad at all. I, for one, still think it was a good deal. Surely outside of this, it's been a disappointed experience, so disappointed that they even cancelled the PvE. 3 missions that last 1 hour each at most. It's not like it was, wow, amazing, mind-blowing PvE. It was just a couple of missions that, let's not kid ourselves, were fun with the awesome scenarios and new lore, but they had zero replayability outside of the usual difficulties. Well, all of that is in the past now, because as I said, and I'll say it again, they cancelled the PvE, and for those who still had no idea, well, yes, there won't be any more story modes missions. Those were the first and the last 3. Maybe they'll release some more in the future, who knows, maybe once a year if we're lucky, but let's not fantasize, and let's focus on what matters. Well, if you remember when the story mode came out, they also introduced another free PvE mode that, honestly, I like it just as much, if not more. For those who don't remember, it was in King's Row and we had to fill up the battery of a strange reactor, well, spawn a robot, and then we had to escort it to a terminal at the end of the map, and then defend the point until it was completed. Well, a typical escort and defense mission. But hey, entertaining at least, even more so with the different modes that they added, like changing heroes, or missiles falling from the sky, and a couple of other modes. And if you think about it objectively, it has the same gameplay, or even greater than the paid PvE, except for a couple of things. It's not a new map, yes, it includes an area that we hadn't seen in King's Row before, but it doesn't come close to the maps of the story mode. It also didn't bring any new lore, it was just another PvE alongside of the Overwatch story. But outside of these two things, honestly, they don't differ at all. Maybe the missions had more complexity, I doubt it. In the King's Row 1, besides the difficulties, we had special modes like the ones I mentioned before, like the orbital strikes every now and then. I'm loving Helldivers, yeah, I couldn't play because doing this video, and that bothers me. Anyway, my rant against the PvE comes from the simple fact that once you play it, it doesn't encourage you to replay it again. Yes, you could try other characters, but come on, for me the most fun was Reinhardt. You just spend your time swinging everywhere, hammer goes bonk, that makes me fun. I'm a simple being, yeah, but who in the right mind will like to play as Mercy in the PvE? Unless you are DPS Mercy. In that case, slay. And it is true that there were pieces of lore to discover, but let's be honest, that will be for those who want to complete everything at 100%, or those interested in the lore, and if you are interested on the story of Overwatch, you can watch a video or look it up online, all the same. But back to the present, I have to say that if I get bored in Overwatch, although it's hard to get bored in this season, jokes aside, Season 9 is one of the most fun seasons to have been released, except for the tanks. Yeah, especially for Reinhardt, yeah, but well, Reinhardt has been suffering for a while now, so yeah, I hope they give him a rework, still dreaming about that. Anyway, now getting back to the point. What I was saying was, if I get bored of quick play or competitive, I don't go to the story mode. In fact, throughout all this time, I think I have played like 2-3 times maybe. If I want to spend time in Overwatch, I usually go to the custom game browser or the workshop for the ones who know. And indeed, now, all that was the intro. Well, actually, no. Yeah. I said it at one point on another video, which was in Spanish, that I was unlikely to make this kind of intro again, but what can I say? I had the video saved and I said, it's impossible that I do it again, right? And it was, in fact, possible. Just like our sponsor, I mean me. That's it. Well, you can stop by Twitch or become a channel member. I don't expect English people to do so because I mainly do it in Spanish, but all that being said, the workshop has its limitations, and they are quite noticeable, but it's still there is a very wide variety of custom game modes. And that's what I like, the massive amount of modes there are. Just as an example, did you know that in the practice range there is a shooting range? It's been there for a couple of seasons now, and I won't lie, I've used it maybe 4 or 5 times, because since Overwatch 1, or rather since the workshop came out, we have been using a custom mode to warm up or aim. We are creatures of habit. Now I can't get out of those modes, and I say modes because depending on what you want to practice, you have several. I don't need to download any training app, I just create a room, load the code, spend 5 to 10 minutes there, and then I go to lose some SR in competitive. And after losing so many games, and if I want to calm down and stop being so tilted, well, normally I will switch to another game, I won't lie to you. But if I still feel like Overwatch, I may try out new workshop codes, games where I surf as Lucio, do parkour as Doomfist, or if I have some people that I usually call friends, maybe we try a random mode we find, like an Overwatch GeoGuessr, which is very well done actually. It drops you in a random location and you have to remember where it was, which is actually very well done. Or maybe if you don't feel like that and you prefer to shoot things that aren't tryharding in quick play, yeah, I'm looking at you people who try way too hard in quick play. Why? Well, if you prefer a simple PvE mode, check out the one you're watching right now. I found this one while writing the script and actually quite like it. Even though I've never reached the end of the game, you acquire abilities and upgrades, and it has its own mini-bosses that later become regular enemies, and so on. And the menu, my applauses to whoever made it. This thing you're seeing of moving a cursor to choose abilities, I'm sure it wasn't easy at all. Or let's say you're one of those people who miss the 6v6. Well, there is a code for you too. In fact, we have tried live about once every week. I do sessions of custom games where anyone can join, and sometimes there are too many of us, so I thought about reviving the 6v6 so 2 more people could join per match. And the truth is, it's fun. Obviously, none of these modes are perfect, they have some bugs, or they haven't been updated in a while, but that doesn't mean they can't be enjoyed. And why don't creators improve them? Well, either because they can't due to the limited tools the game provides, due to lack of time, or any other reason. But of course I speak from ignorance without really knowing what it takes to create a custom mode in Overwatch. That's why I decided to ask the experts, people who dedicated themselves or still dedicate themselves to create these modes, even with the limited tools they have. Mitzi, Jokes, Cactus Puppy, Notanotaku, Lotto, Faringwall, Netox, Alomare, Gektendo, Lemonade. Thanks to all of you for your help and kindness. You have shown me that if there is one part of Overwatch with absolute zero toxicity, it must be the workshop community. Most of these wonderful creators were asked the same questions, except for a few since I knew their game modes in depth, or it had been a while since they were up to date with the workshop changes. Hello.
Hello there.
Haciendo un par de notas. No escribí mucho sobre ella, así que va a ser rápido.
Hey, this is Cactus, and I'm recording some answers to some questions that Ace670 sent me, so yeah, let's get started.
How and why did you start making custom modes?
Bien, yo era fan de Overwatch desde antes que apareciera la workshop, y en paralelo también tengo experiencia programando desde chiquito, desde que tenía casi 12 años. Así que en medio tengo un interés casi innato por este tipo de cosas, por la workshop. Cuando salió el anuncio, cuando salió la dev update de la workshop, me llamó bastante la atención.
Yeah, so I was an Overwatch player for a long time, and my name, Faring Well, is actually a pun off of Pharah. I played Overwatch for a while, Pharah, Lucio, etc. About 2.5 years after Workshop had been put out, once it was really starting to crystallize and become something that had all of its tools, right? That's sort of when I got into it.
So originally I was a Minecraft technical player, so originally that was stuff like Redstone, and then command blocks, and then eventually data packs and plugins. And then I picked up Overwatch in senior year of high school, and 2 years later, Workshop came out, and I thought it was one of the perfect times to go ahead and take a look at the new technical systems that have been added, and the rest was history.
Well, was it difficult to start using the workshop tools?
Mira, yo estoy un poquito sesgado por mi experiencia. Para mí no es bastante difícil. Todo lo contrario, me parece, ya tengo varios años de usarlas, así que ya me conozco bastante. Pero creo que el equipo de Overwatch, que hizo la primera versión de la Workshop, hizo un buen trabajo en crear una interfaz y un lenguaje visual fácil de usar y de entender. La gente puede agarrar los conceptos básicos de la Workshop bastante rápido, pero tal vez se traba un poco cuando intenta traducir las ideas que tiene en la mente a lo que sería el código de la Workshop, ¿no? Tal vez no... hay muchas herramientas cuando primero entras a la Workshop, muchas acciones, muchos valores que aprender. Entonces no sabes con qué empezar o cómo puedes asamblarlos para crear lo que vos quieres hacer.
Overwatch's like in-game menu is easy to start working with. But if you're trying to make anything big or complex, I found it to be quite tedious. So the good thing though, all right, is that there's some really impressive community tools that let you sort of code in a more traditional programming sense and then turn that code into Overwatch code to actually make your mode. So it saves a huge amount of time, and honestly, it's responsible for like most of the complex modes out there.
I think the conceptual model, even for people who have done like coding boot camps before, it can be a little tough to wrap your head around, especially in terms of like the event-based system and how the rules are associated with specific entities and all that. And I think it can be a little confusing for people to get started with.
Obviously, I didn't just ask 3 people, many others took the time to tell me their experiences, like Mitzi, who was fascinated with being able to combine both passions, programming and Overwatch, and even today they continues to create new game modes. Do you remember the code I showed you in one of my shorts? Like one about the new sizes of projectiles? Well, the mode was created by them, and the aim levels I showed you before? Yeah, also from Mitzi. Then we have Jokes, a Spanish creator in this case. You might not recognize him at first, but he made modes like Island Party, the one I also did a short about a couple of days ago. Not only that, but he was also the one who started what are now the typical gun game modes, although in Overwatch should be called like hero game, because you change hero, no weapon. Well, moving to the next creator, Notanotaku, who has one mode that really caught my attention, which was the cinematic ones. I could only think of the wonders that he could do without such limitations. And the second one, it is the Hilary Paintball, which it was 2 in the morning, so there weren't many people to try it. Lotus, whom I say without fear of being wrong, has a more artistic touch in his game modes, except for the Torture Punk. I was like a loser playing yesterday against my friends. Spoiler, I only won 1 time. Alomar, who created a FNAF version of Overwatch, which honestly tried because it's very well done. It's amazing what he has been able to achieve, and he still wants to improve it, but due to some limitations it became complicated in some aspects. But hey, he keeps creating new mods and even tools, like an in-game cursor. As I said before, this surely wasn't easy. And Gexendo with a 2v2 mode with duplicate abilities. Well, that and Solo Cross. The title makes it sound easy. Maybe the first 10 levels are, but then I didn't expect such a positive response from so many people. In fact, they recommended me to post the idea of the interviews in the workshop Discord, but I knew if I did, at least 20 people will want to participate. I can hardly handle 3 interviews and about 7 people responding to me, let alone 20. So, Ace from the future, I entrust you to do something more elaborate. I assure you the future Ace will see this and he will hate me. Boss, hello. Present Ace editing, and yeah, I already hate him. But hey, we are getting off track. The first question, as you will remember, was how and why they started making custom modes, and the vast majority answered the same. Since the workshop came out in Overwatch 1, they were excited about the concept. Some started right away, others a bit later, as Jokers tell us. In his case, it was thanks to the streamer named Darwin Streams. Jokers couldn't stop watching him and ended up wanting to try the workshop for himself. Sadly, neither Darwin nor Jokers make workshop modes anymore, at least for now. The next most interesting question was about having more resources, and honestly I can't feel anything but pity knowing that with very little, they will be content.
The practical answer is I would want workshop to just kind of work properly. Like, there's a lot of quirks with how it interacts with the existing hero mechanics. That's not to mention the numerous bugs that come with ability resource, ability cooldowns, and ability charges. There's some like really weird bugs with how some values don't show up client side and they show up server side, blah blah blah. Yeah, just having all of that be accessible, or at least work consistently with the workshop, would be a huge boon.
Anything that they add will honestly it just gives people that many more tools that they can use. The idea that people will use the tools that they have available, and if Overwatch adds even a simple tool, people will be able to find unique ways to sort of take that and use it to make a new mode or a new feature.
Sí, obviamente estaría buenísimo tener más opciones, más que nada opciones visuales. Por ejemplo, la cosa más llamativa que podemos hacer, o más común, sería una esfera en la workshop. Así que estaría bueno tener recursos tipo crear cubos, por ejemplo.
The moonshot answer really though is the ability to sort of access the full potential of a game development environment. Obviously that's not the goal of workshop, it never has been, but the moonshot answer would be to be able to add custom assets like sound and kind of, you know, make a small game that's sort of based off of that, with sound effects and that kind of jazz, right? Like custom UI, all of that. Like having the ability to put down some of the stuff that's in Hero Gauntlet, or, you know, like kind of mess around with something that's like Hero Gauntlet. I think that would be a huge boon to a lot of custom modes, or make a lot of custom modes possible that weren't possible before. That'd be really cool, but you know, that's an exceptional amount of work for the dev team, and I don't expect it to happen anytime soon.
Maybe in terms of programming it can be a challenge, I don't know, but honestly, if the devs want some stability in the player base, this could be one of their best bets. And whoever thinks otherwise, look at it this way. The new Gauntlet Hero Mastery mode came out. The tower defense, yeah, it was entertaining, yes, for a few games. But they are not going to update it weekly, and I doubt it'll generate the traction necessary for the developers to consider it worth it to keep a regular update on this project. As mentioned in some of the interviews, if they could have access to those structures, or even having access to the assets from the Gauntlet mode, imagine the possibilities, hundreds of variations of the tower defense, the Gauntlet maps, different ways to play it according to each creator, even changes to create totally different modes. The possibilities are endless. It may be complicated to do it, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't give the game a new lease of life. Just like games like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, and even Black Ops 3. And it's this last one that surprises me the most every day. We are talking about a game that came out in 2015, almost a decade ago. It fascinates and impresses me the map creation capacity its community has. I have seen some videos of how maps are created, and even with the oldest and least intuitive tools I ever seen, people do things like this. And the only thing that comes to your mind is, how much time did they spend making this? The answer is always the same: yes. And keep in mind that many of these people create maps because they want to, or they have a Patreon or any other sort of external donation system to continue making these maps, sometimes due to the gigantic size of the maps. And honestly, I can't think anything bad about it. They get help from the community who wants to play their creations. This is a win-win. You help keep people playing and creating all at the same time. That is a self-sustained community. It feeds back and keeps a game that, if it wasn't for this, would have died several years ago.
I've definitely considered it, considering this is not my full-time job, and that I do have a full-time job right now. I haven't set it up. I probably should. I do have like a Patreon half set up. I also have a Ko-Fi like half set up from when I was thinking about doing content creation a little more. I probably still might set it up, honestly.
The only thing I can think of that would actually be like a stable source of income is if Blizzard hired workshop creators to make regular game modes. Just throwing that out there, you know, if any Blizzard opportunity comes along, I think that would really help.
It's possible that creating game modes may not be a stable source of income now nor in the future, but I'm sure there will be always people who take this as their hobby, as a pastime, because in the end, that's how many people started creating video games, as a hobby. They start by making plugins or mods for Minecraft, custom maps for Fortnite, or mods for Roblox. When there is creative freedom in a game, and it rewards you for it, you get that hit of joy that gives you another boost to keep creating. On the other hand, if you are limited, and it gets harder and harder for you to create, you end up just leaving it and turning the page. Since the workshop came out, there have been quite a few updates, but it's been almost a year since there's even been a sad bug fix, and it seems that for 3 years there hasn't been any major update.
Projectiles is the only thing that Workshop has gotten. I've been doing this for... Sorry, what was that?
No, the only thing they added was projectiles, really.
Yeah. For 2.5 years, I've been doing this, and the only thing that they added was projectiles. And the unfortunate thing about the projectiles is they don't even connect with the rest of the workshop stuff. It's great that they added it, but you can't even. It doesn't even trigger like the events that they already had in a meaningful way. So you sort of have to figure out if it's a workshop projectile or a normal projectile. And you can't even like control it after you make it.
Have there been any major updates to the workshop? Definitely. The workshop got a lot of updates back then, near the tail end of Overwatch 1. I can't even think of all of them. Like custom colors became a thing, progress bar HUDs became a thing. Yeah, kind of missed the era when we got updates to the workshop.
El periodo más activo fue entre 2019 y 2021 más o menos, donde hubo un montón de mejoras de calidad. Y también se agregaron un montón de acciones, se pueden usar para crear cosas nuevas, cosas que nunca se habían podido hacer antes. Algo que no podíamos hacer antes era nombrar las variables, que este es un aspecto, el nombre de la variable a veces te ayuda a entender qué está pasando en el código. Es muy difícil de codificar con esa limitación. Así que ese periodo fue bastante bueno en que, aunque sea, fueron unos 2-3 años en los que recibimos un montón de amor y un montón de cosas que hicieron la workshop usable. Y bueno, hoy en día la frecuencia de actualizaciones bajó a casi cero, diría. En estos últimos 2-3 años, estamos en 2024, así que hubo el año pasado, en 2023, hubo una sola gran actualización que fue la de que agregó 3 acciones para crear proyectiles, y después hubo unos bug fixes y después silencio puro.
Still, I will repeat the same. In the workshop, you can do hundreds, thousands of things. Practice your aim, fight against the best Reinhardt bot in history, train Lucius wall riding, do parkour with Doomfist, play Genji Ball with friends, RPG modes, PvE modes. There are even zombie wave maps. You can even have a Mario Party-like game. The workshop is exactly what I like in a game with as much potential as Overwatch. A mode where the limit is the player's imagination, people who dedicate themselves to create more content in the game so that the rest of us can enjoy it. It's something I love. Throughout the making of this video, I've talked to wonderful people within this community, whom I think will be glad that someone gave them a voice, even if it is a small channel like mine. It's possible that many of you are only interested in PvP, but take a look at the website. I assure you, you will find something you will like. Try new things, experiment, and who knows, if you're interested, and maybe even you will like to try it.
There's great resources that I like to point people to. One of them is a guide by Blizzard Guides that goes over the details without assuming too much technical background.
Acá sería un poco un shameless plug a workshop.codes, la comunidad en Discord más que nada, que si tenés algún problema con la workshop podés venir a nosotros y te podemos ayudar. También es algo que se repite mucho, pero yo sé que hay gente que ve la workshop y dice, esto no es para mí. Yo si voy e intento pintar algo tampoco me va a salir porque no siento que para pintar o dibujar no es para mí tampoco. La workshop está hecha para los que tengan una inclinación por programar o hacer que sus ideas se vuelvan realidad, ¿no? Eso no quita que algunos lo intenten igual y logren perseverar en lograr aprender la workshop, aunque sea a un nivel muy básico. Nada, es como un mensaje de inspiración para la gente que tal vez ve la workshop y dice, no, pero digo, ok, intentalo, que te va a salir.
If we raise our voices about this issue, about this subject, and the number of people doing these modes continues to expand, it's possible maybe that we will be heard in one way or another. And while I've been talking a lot about creators, their opinions and what they think, now it's up to you. Tell me, have you tried the workshop? Did you know it exists? And if so, what would you like to create in it? Anyway, imagination is free and the workshop is also free.
There's a really great community on the workshop.codes Discord, which is how I even got this far.
The community actually is very, very, very nice. If there is one community inside of Overwatch with zero toxicity, it must be the workshop one.
No, I know. Actually, yeah, it's really nice how helpful people are, you know, and they won't make fun of you if you don't know something. They'll just sort of help you out, and it's a really great group. So even if you don't have like the knowledge to actually get into it, I mean, people here will just help you, and yeah, it just makes the whole process much nicer, and you just don't feel like you're alone in figuring things out because there are these experts that have all this knowledge that you can ask your technical questions to, and so yeah, it's great that there's such a great group.